Hi guys, we're going to do section 11.2 today, which is absolute values. Yesterday in 11.1, you learned about numbers that were opposites. And opposite numbers were numbers that were equal distance away from zero. With opposites, a lot of kids confuse opposites with absolute values. And they really are two different things. Opposites are dealing with the actual number, okay? Absolute values are dealing with the distance of a number. So the definition of absolute value is the distance from zero on a number line, okay? So because we're dealing with distance, distance is always a positive number. There's no way I can take a ruler and measure something and get a negative distance, okay? That negative distance we always refer to as if we're losing distance, like in football. If they don't make it as far as what they plan and they actually get pushed backwards, sometimes they will say that's a negative yardage or negative distance. That negative is talking about going the wrong direction. When we deal with measuring distance, it's always a positive number. We can't have it not exist because it's a measurement, okay? So that's something we have to remember when we're dealing with absolute values. Absolute values, because it's a distance, is always positive. Okay, we use a symbol here. It looks like two lines with a number that would be inside of it, okay? And those two vertical lines are absolute value signs, okay? It means the absolute value of whatever number is inside here, okay? Now, absolute values we can think of as kind of like parentheses. We always have to do what's inside of them first. We treat them like parentheses when we deal with order of operations, okay? So let's actually look into some absolute values here, okay? Now, let's not jump so far ahead here. Let's go ahead on my paper here and do a few examples here. This is the absolute value of -5, okay? The absolute value, this is how we word it, it's the absolute value of -5. Remember, because we're asking what is the distance of -5 to 0, we know my answer is going to be 5 because it is always a positive number. How about if I have the absolute value of 4? What's that answer going to be? A lot of kids want to jump and right away say, oh, it's -4 because it's the opposite. No, this is what I was talking about at the beginning. We're not dealing with opposites. We're dealing with distance. So we're asking, what is the absolute value of 4? Or what is the distance of 4 from 0? And that is 4. Absolute values always have to be positive. We don't just switch it and take the opposite. That can't happen. Okay? How about if I have the absolute value of 0? What is that going to be? Well, remember, if I'm asking what is the distance from 0 to 0, it's 0. Okay? You're not going anywhere. So the absolute value of 0 is 0. Okay, now we're going to take it and make it a little bit harder here, and let's look at our problem here. Okay, remember we said anything that's inside the absolute value we have to do first because we're going to go ahead and treat that like a parentheses. So let's go ahead and do our math here. So we're going to go ahead, order of operations says I have to do what first? In this case, I have to do my multiplication first. So I've got 52 minus, what is 8 times 5? 8 times 5 is 40. Okay, I can't finish it up yet. I need to continue to simplify it. And now I'm going to go ahead and do my subtraction. What is 52 minus 40? And that would be 12, the absolute value of 12. Now, what is the absolute value of 12? The absolute value of 12 is always positive, so it's 12 over 10. Okay, we're going to go ahead and reduce that down, and we'd end up with 6 over 5. Okay, so it looks confusing. It looks a little scary, but we can go ahead and work with this doing order of operations first. Now, some people, if they don't do operations first, would jump ahead right away and go, what is 52 minus 8? They'd get that number there. and then times it by 5. That will give us the totally wrong answer. We have to do order of operations first, okay? Let's jump down and let's do this example here, okay? Remember, we've got to do order of operations. So my order of operations says I have to do what's inside my absolute value sign first. So what is the absolute value of negative 8? Well, I know it's going to be positive 8. And because these are side by side, that means we're going to multiply these numbers together. So I'm going to put the answer here of 8 and then bring down my plus 4. Order of operations says do my multiplication first, and I get 24 plus my 4, which gives me my final answer of 28. Okay, let's do a few problems here at the bottom, and let's see how you do. Okay, working our way through it, the absolute value of negative 10 is 10. We had to do that first because of order of operations. Here's my plus, and then I can go ahead and do 4 times 9, which is 36. Go ahead, add them together, and my final answer is going to be 46. Over here at problem number 2, I have a larger problem. It looks kind of scary, but we have to work through our order of operation. And so we have to treat our absolute value here, the absolute value of 8 minus 5, I need to solve first. So I'm going to go ahead and do the math. What is 8 minus 5? I get 3. Okay, so then I can go ahead and take the absolute values of everything. The absolute value of 3 is 3, and the absolute value of my negative 4 is 4, because it's asking what is the difference from the distance of negative 4 to 0. Add these together. 3 plus 2 is 5 over 4. I can go ahead and write that as a mixed number and write it as 1 1/4. Okay? Now, let's see. That is the end, guys. It is pretty straightforward and easy to work with as long as we follow our order of operations. Remember, absolute values always have to be positive, and it's talking about the distance of that number to 0. Okay, you're going to have 2 days on this. We're going to do the odds today so that we can practice to see how you do, make any corrections to it, and then on Friday you're going to go ahead and do the evens and hopefully get 100% on those. Have a good day.